Hello, hello, everybody. How's it going? Happy Monday, or excuse me, Tuesday, April 19th. Let's see who we've got in the chat. Got Shani. Hey, Shani. Glad you joined finally. Oh my gosh. Hi, Dory. Welcome. Heather. Susanna, 12-step and guidance, my mods. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Dope. I'm really glad you're here. I might be asking you to throw some info in Discord to kind of help guide this along. We are waiting for our guest, the infamous Twitter weasel of many regarding the Michael Vaughan case and Brandy Neal and her, Brandy Neal's side of social media. A lot of Westbrook and et cetera, et cetera. So we are waiting for, her name is Crystal, who had been close at one time with Brandy Neal, and truly, truly wanted to help and wanted to help Brandy and her family through this really, really hard time. Hi, Kelly. Welcome. Okay, thank you, Dope. Appreciate it. So while we're waiting, oh, perfect. Thank you, Dope. You're the best. I'm going to see where Crystal is. That is her name. I feel like it is very, it's hard. It's hard to come out when you've been kind of shamed for being a quote unquote mole, if you will. But I truly believe that that is not the case. And I believe that everybody has the right to express and explain themselves, including anyone related to a missing person, even Candace, even Dawn. But we know where that went. Guys, give me just a second and let me see where Crystal is. I'll be right back. But for now, let's just listen to something that I think is very interesting that one of the other Twitter weasels has sent. 1 second. I lied. There she is. Everybody, please, please give a warm welcome in the chat to Crystal. You there?
I'm here.
Thank you for coming to the live panel tonight to talk about the case.
Absolutely.
Do you have a specific title for Twitter? I know that there's like a Nicole Marie has Slutty Goosey. Do you have a title that someone has given you?
I mean, I don't know what I guess I'm a weasel.
Yeah, the Weasels, right? Well, I'm glad to be associated with Weasels. I've never seen a problem with Weasels. I think they're cute. All right. So everyone is not really too deeply involved in Twitter and what has gone on, except for what I've shown them and maybe a little bit of research that they've done. Could you just kind of give everybody a little bit of a summary of how you're involved in the Michael Vaughan case and what transpired over time to where you are now?
Yeah. So I met Brandy on Twitter. I was talking to a lady that had actually brought her over to Twitter from Facebook, and I reached out to Brandy back in December, and we started talking. And then we started, that was just like through DMs on Twitter. And then we eventually started, I believe it was like December 28th was our first like real phone conversation. And after that, we started doing Facebook Messenger group chats, and we talked every single day after that. And we talked for quite a few months until I left the group. I believe it was March 3rd or March 6th. I actually left the group.
You had left, you said March?
Yeah, it was the 3rd or the 6th. I can't remember which one it was.
Okay. What do you think was the biggest reason for why you left that group?
The biggest reason would
Mhm.
be the multitude of changes in the timeline.
Right. Totally understand that after diving into Michael's case in the last 2 months. I've always covered it and or researched just any updates, but the last 2 months I've been just drenched in all of the information, and I can completely say with 100% certainty that no timeline that I have heard of can work, can actually work. There's a lot to this, guys. And it's very hard to compile all of the 800 different scenarios and information that comes from not only Brandy and Tyler, but multiple sources. So then you have to really dig deep and see, okay, who is credible and who isn't at this point with this specific information. And that happens about 30 to 40 times a day on what we all have to look at. And I've only been doing this 2 months. So you can understand how frustrating it is. And I just want everyone to kind of have an open mind when we're talking about this and remember that this is for missing 5-year-old Michael Monkey Vaughan from Fruitland, Idaho. It's been over 9 months now. Or is it coming up to 9 months?
It'll be 9 months in
On 27th.
8 days from now. Yeah.
Yeah. And just like Summer Wells, it was 10 months on the 15th. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. I did not want to think about the fact that the Summer Wells case is anything like Michael Vaughan. There are differences. Every case is different. There's not specifics, or the specifics make those kind of changes. But when you look at it from a big picture standpoint, there is a missing 5-year-old and 6-year-old child. Michael's about to be 6 years old.
Yep.
In June. So there is similarities. We have timeline discrepancies. We have so many lies, not just from within, but outside. So there are a lot of similarities, no matter how hurtful it may be to you. It's not about our feelings. It's about the facts and to bring both of these children home, all children. But in this case, we can learn a lot from letting go of that. It's totally different that we've been shoved down our throats by big creators. Maybe we need to see what the similarities are so that we can weed through the craziness. All right. Having said that, we made kind of a list of some of the things that we want to talk about. And people in the chat, please feel free. If there is something you don't understand or if there's something that you would like more clarification on, please put it in the chat. And I will make sure to do my best to relay it to Crystal. All right, so the
I'm
first
reading
thing
it the best I can.
I mean, we do the best we can. Our brains are already probably fried from the last 3 hours of trying to organize this.
I'm learning YouTube over here slowly.
It's different. There's a lot of different ways to go about it, and caveats. I'm learning as I go. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is, first of all, is there anything that you have learned very recently about any progression in Michael's case?
Nope, not a word.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen anything myself. So that's painful. And I really wish that there was something that law enforcement could do, even if it's a monthly update. Hi, Jeep Girl. Hey, everybody coming in. Thank you for joining. All right, so let's just jump into it, okay? It's already been 10 minutes. So let's talk about Tyler first. And the reason why I want to talk about Tyler first is because that's pretty much the one person that was there that day that we don't hear from. In my opinion, we don't hear from him enough. And Crystal has, in some ways, with conversations between Tyler, Brandy, and her and other people. So let's get that out of the way. There's a lot of questions that I think everybody has. So the first thing that I want to ask is, have you heard specifically from Tyler break down the timeline that Brandy has explained? Have you ever heard the full meat and potatoes of that?
I have not.
Has there been any time where he has tried and it has been diverted, or she overspoke or was wrong about something?
Many times.
Okay, let's go into some examples, and maybe I can pull some up as you're speaking.
Okay. Let's see. So one, he starts to talk about, he says, in one of the recordings, he says the puzzle theory. And he's talking about the Wheel of Fortune, the people saying that they were watching Wheel of Fortune and seeing Michael on their second puzzle of Wheel of Fortune. So that's what he's talking about. And he starts to say something, and he's like, so if that works, I don't know verbatim word for word what he says, so I'm just paraphrasing here, but and he's like, well, and then he stops himself. Brandy goes to say something, they both get really quiet, and then they move on and say something different. Brandy has taken me for drives, so on video chat. I've never been to Idaho ever, but on video chat she's taken me for drives through the area, the farm roads and stuff, and she sat in one of the areas in Fruitland and said, this is where Tyler jumped that barrier. And I'm like, that's not what Tyler said. And she's like, no, this is where he was at. So when they got home, I asked Tyler, like, is this where you were? And he's like, no, I was over on Cornwall Way when I jumped the barrier. And luckily, Brandy had to use the restroom, and I was able to get Tyler to tell me exactly where the barrier was that he jumped, which didn't coincide with so you posted that video earlier where it had talked about the pizza and stuff. So Tyler had said that when he hung up with Brandy at 7:14 p.m. that he went to Cornwall Way and jumped a barrier, and then he called 911 from over there. But then Brandy said that he was home at 7:15 to give the pizza to oldest son to take in the house. So that kind of caught me off guard, not to mention there's other things that I can't think of right off the top of my head that he's tried to say. And I mean, there was one in Spaces where she was saying something, Tyler tried to say something, and she stopped him, and he's like, no, that's not it. And and then the whole pizza thing where she said he called it in, and he's like, no, I ordered it online. And then finally she's like, oh, you ordered it online, that's right. It's just little things like that, and they're not little things, because a timeline is very important when anybody is missing, and when the timeline can't add up, it's really hard to find the child.
Right. It makes people's eyes cross. It makes mine cross when we're having to break that down. So let's go over the clip of the Wheel of Fortune, so that everybody can kind of have that concrete background, so that they can understand too. I agree, by the way, Dory, about the 911 call being released. We were just talking about that, actually. I do understand that this is an active investigation. However, a 911 call should be pretty straightforward. You know, law enforcement has released 911 call footage before, and in my experience, it has been very damning for some and very clearing for others. So that's key to me why it's not being released. That is just my opinion, but I am not law enforcement. All right, so I'm going to play this clip about the puzzle situation. You're going to hear some other details that you're going to go, what? Wait, what about that? So just put the questions in the chat and I'll write them down and try to clear up as much as I can by asking all of the weasels who are here. All right, give me just a second. Let me see if y'all can hear this. Can y'all hear that at all?
No, I can't.
Okay, give me just a second, guys. All right. Can y'all hear that?
So that adds up with about...
Yes.
Okay. Let me turn it up. All right. And let me know, guys, if you have any issues hearing this, okay? I'm going to play it.
Yeah. So that adds up with about... For him to walk down, knock on that door, nobody's home, and then walk to fucking bitch face's door and not be there, that's... He could easily describe...
Funko Pop things.
So there's another thing, like they supposedly Michael had a toy in his hand, and they never found that. Flip flop, they never found the toy he could have had in his hand. We don't know because you see all the toys they have, like. But so we still think that he went to Tim's first. Well, Anita was trying to.
Okay, guys, I'm really sorry. Hold on. Let me make sure that I have the right recording. I'm pretty sure I do. So they're talking to Chrissy, who is Tyler's sister. Is that right?
Not in what you're playing now. No, that's one of the other girls from the group.
So that adds up with about... For him to walk down, knock on that door, nobody's home, and then walk to fucking bitch face's door and not be there, that's... He could easily do that in 7 minutes before dipshits got home.
Now, I want to remind you that Brandy is colorful. So there's going to be a little bit of a difference of what you know to be true when seeing the camera. Of course, you want to be on your best behavior for your missing son. We would not want... We all cuss, I'm sure. Most of us. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But there's a difference when you have people who have seen your son or potentially have seen your son, and name calling is just, to me, unacceptable to people who may help find your son. So that's just my opinion, but please just be aware that there's colorful language. All right.
Yeah, I mean, that's like almost too much time, right? What's he doing? It does seem like too much time because what was it? 40.4 seconds or something like that was written on the timeline. I was scanning everything today, like trying to. So the 6:37 time is actually like 5 minutes later, is what you said? About 5 minutes later, yeah. So then he was still seen. They still can place him like in front of the house at whatever time that would be, that 42 or 6:42. Right. Okay.
I don't think this is the right
So
recording.
yeah, I mean, so maybe it sounds like he was like maybe playing in the driveway for a minute. Probably. And did they say at some point that he was holding a toy? Yeah, nobody knows that.
Ugh, that's not something I'm gonna have to edit that out. It's out there anyway. But what it doesn't really matter, Crystal, because to me, there's a missing child, and we do what we gotta. There's so much information that sometimes we just things mix together into other recordings, especially when you're recording 3 different things that were on 3 different days that were sent. So I apologize for having that kind of messed up. However, I would hope that you guys could trust me enough on this channel to be honest and truthful. And I know that Crystal knows specifically about this more than I do. So do you want to explain the puzzle again? Like what time Wheel of Fortune was on specifically?
Well, so when one of the girls from the group watched it in Idaho, the second puzzle, so they do like these short rounds in Wheel of Fortune, I guess, or whatever the heck they're called. The second round of puzzles finished at 6:42 p.m.
So that's when they said that they saw Michael through the window, correct?
Correct. After it was, so it was like they watched the second puzzle. It must have been commercial right after, and they seen Michael through the window.
Right. And honestly, millennial, that's a good question. I mean, it's already out there, and that's my fault. I will take any lashing I get for that. That's on me. But you're right. Now, here's the thing that I said earlier, and that was not supposed to go out. So that's on me. But again, anything that you say to anyone outside of law enforcement is your responsibility. Period. And if you can't trust family members alone to believe in you and trust in you enough, then I don't know what to say. And that says a lot to me. Law enforcement can lie to you. Law enforcement can direct you into many different rabbit holes on purpose. And sometimes they're really being truthful. So you have got to, as a parent, you have got to be transparent and keep things to yourself that need to be if law enforcement tells you to. And if not, honestly, they shouldn't have told you in the first place. That's just how I feel. So it is what it is. And I would want to know, I would tell everybody everything. He had this, he had that, he had this shirt on, and there's no deviation. In this case, just like Summers, you have deviations every day when you're researching it. Okay? Thank you, Grammy H. Here's the thing about the neighbors before we go on to the next topic about Tyler, which is Cornwall Way. I think this is a huge, important detail to know about. And I don't think it's talked about enough because it's even more of a cluster when speaking about the timeline. All right. CCTV footage allegedly sees Michael Vaughan at 6:37, correct, Crystal?
No. The neighbor saw him. It started at 6:37, and then on January 20th it changed to 6:42.
Right. And why did that change?
Your guess is as good as mine.
And who changed it?
Brandy had said that is what she seen on the board at the police station on January 20th. She went there, she's seen a bunch of stuff on the board, and that's when all of that changed.
Okay. Did Tyler ever say anything about the neighbors, specifically the one that first saw him?
Tyler always seems to stop himself when he talks about those neighbors.
Oh, okay. Why do you think that is?
I'm not 100% sure why I think that is. I have my suspicions, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But
Okay.
I know that he gets um upset when you talk about them. This one specific neighbor.
Okay. Gotcha. So these neighbors, do you know anything about if they're older, younger, anything of that nature?
The specific neighbors I'm talking about, they're young. They're like in their 30s, I want to say, or early 40s. They're not super old. They're around the same age as Brandy and Tyler.
Okay. Do you know if they're close at all?
I mean, close enough that they, according to Brandy, would hand Michael over the fence to play on the trampoline.
Interesting. Right. So I mean, it's not like it's just one of those things where it's, hey, you want to come over and play and all that stuff. It's not like they were every day hanging out, right?
Right. I mean, as far as I know.
Right. From what you've heard. And this is all about at least what you know to the best of your knowledge.
Correct.
Okay. So when was it that Brandy Neal said that there was no CCTV footage that caught Michael? Do you remember?
I mean, that was her original story, so that stayed the same for quite some time until it changed. And I don't remember when it changed exactly.
Okay. I think I have the recording here somewhere. Do you remember when she said that CCTV footage did and that it was a diversion? Was that something that happened?
I would have to hear the recording to know exactly what you're talking about.
Totally,
But
yeah.
because quite a few things have been said, and she's used that, what misdirection is a good thing or whatever. So
Right.
I know that it was. No, that was something different. Yeah, I'd have to hear the recording to know exactly what happened and what she was talking about.
Okay. I think that I can try to find it. I had it pulled up and then all of my stuff went away because I think it gets bogged down. It's like, no more videos. Um, I know it's on Twitter. Wait just a second. But while we're waiting on that, let's jump to the Cornwall Way while we're waiting. Everybody, the timelines have changed so much that these are important things that we're going to tie back into a timeline that does not and could not work so far from what I have come up with. We all know about the pizza debacle. You've seen my video, hopefully, and if not, let me know. It's on my YouTube channel. But this one's important to me because of the 911 call. All right. Could you explain about the Cornwall Way and how you found out about that, jumping over the barrier, and what Tyler has said about that?
So I don't remember exactly how I found out about it. I believe it was in one of the late night spaces. Tyler had mentioned it. So it wasn't until me and a couple of the other girls in the group had went to Google Earth and we were looking, and one of the girls that's local to the area was like, this has to be the barrier that he's talking about. It's the only thing that makes sense. So February 26th, I was finally able to talk to Tyler, and I said, hey, what barrier did you jump before you called 911? And so he pulled out his phone and he went right to Google Earth. And I went right to Google Earth too while we were on video chat. And he's like, he's like, you find our house? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you see the triangle above it? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you see the top of the triangle that doesn't fit? I'm like, yeah. He's like, right there. And I said, the red gate. And he's like, well, it looks like a shadow on my end. And I said, well, if you walk it, you can see the red gate. So I screenshot it and I sent a picture into the group chat. And one of the girls from the group chat was actually at Brandy's, and she showed him, and he's like, yeah, but I don't think it looks like that anymore. So he had told me that he had, so it originally it was, he went to the splash pad and he came back home, because then, you know, he had to check between the bed and the wall where Michael liked to hide. And then when he got off the phone with Brandy, he went right to Cornwall Way because he wanted to check one more spot, and then he called 911 from over there.
Okay, got it. And so just to give a kind of an example, or not the example, the actual barrier. And I promise, guys, this will tie in here in a minute. This is the barrier that not a lot of people know about, first of all, but second of all, they don't have the timeline. So everyone's kind of going to be confused for a minute, but I promise you it's going to tie back, okay? This is the barrier right here that Tyler was talking about that didn't come up until exactly when again, Crystal? When?
I mean, it
February?
was brought up early on, but
Oh,
when I
okay.
actually got to hear Tyler's full story wasn't until February.
Okay. And he stated that he called 911 at this area?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So let me pull up a map for everybody. And I'm going to use Google Earth, which I love. But like a lot of people can't use it on their computers or phones because it crashes. I've heard that a lot. But I highly suggest using Google Earth if you can. All right. So let's do, was it 504, right? 404, excuse me. I'll just hang tight. This will matter here in a second. So this is an address, okay, guys? Somebody actually lives here, so don't get all crazy. Let me turn it around. So this is the barrier right here. Right here. City storm basin, no loitering. So he states that it's changed since then. So it looks like there might be something being built there. I believe this is from September of 2021. So it may have changed. I don't know specifically why Tyler decided to jump over here. But Crystal, can you remind me if he states that he called 911 here as he was jumping over, was that any different from what you've heard when the 911 call was placed before and after y'all talked about it?
Well, originally, if we go back to originally, the 911 call was placed at 7:10.
7:10.
Yeah.
Right. Now we know that, I assume we know for a fact about the 911 call time, or is that based on what was sent by Brandy?
That's based on fact. We actually got the 911 call logs.
Yes, we did. And that was at 7:21. All right. I'm going to, I think I'm going to save not putting out the call log yet. I think I'm going to wait for that. But trust me when I say that this is true. So he stated, what was it, 7:15-ish? Now, guys, remember my pizza video. If you haven't watched it, watch it. There has been many different scenarios of how the pizza was received. Now, all right, Tyler placed the order from the latest that we know on the app online. But originally, it was a phone call. And then it changed. And the reason why it changed was because Brandy actually went into Tyler's phone, correct, Crystal?
Yes.
And she could not find the call to the pizza place. Crystal, do you know if she found the 911 call?
She did not.
Oh, she did
But
not.
but she did find a call from Fruitland PD at 7:28. And originally, Tyler had no idea that they called. When she was going through his phone originally and asking him about it, he was like, "Oh, they called me back," and he's like, "It must have been when I was out searching and they needed me to come back and talk to them." Later on, it was, "Oh, 911 called me back."
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, if we think about this, how could he be jumping over the barrier at the same time and calling 911 at the same time that the pizza was allegedly picked up and given from Tyler to Ben? It can't. If we're going by everything that we have heard about the different scenarios, it cannot work. And so what these ladies were doing, this is what I wanted y'all to see, that what these ladies were doing was trying to clear up that. Oh, hey, Cher from Voices Behind the Wall. Now it's listen to the Voices Behind the Wall. Thank you so much. She says, so many good peeps live. Hello, gorgeous. I'm panel hopping. She does that. As soon as she's in here, she's like, okay, bye. But I appreciate you being here, sweetie. Thank you, Guidance, for the super sticker. I appreciate, or super chat. Thank you so much. Hey, checking convictions. Just wanted to catch up with chat really quickly. Does anybody have any questions so far that this is as clear as mud? Does anybody have any questions before we jump into anything else? Doxy says left phone at home so he couldn't be tracked. Well, we don't necessarily know exactly what law enforcement has. And we don't exactly know why a 911 call would be deleted. Crystal, did he ever mention anything about deleting one?
No, he said he never did.
So why do you think it wouldn't be there?
Well,
I mean, I'm not
logically, because it was never called. I mean,
right.
that's the only thing I can think of, because, I found out, where her carrier was from. One of the other girls happened to need to call 911 from the same provider and kind of did it on purpose. And it never deleted out of her phone.
So, I have heard at one time a recording, the babysitter. Now, if anybody doesn't know who the babysitter is, her name is Jennifer Hanna. She was the one that held the vigil for Michael after he went missing. There has been a lot of controversy because she beats to a different drum, okay? I'm not going to beat around the bush. She does, and she knows that. And like everyone else, she has a past. Hers is a little bit sideways. And she was with Michael the day before. Having said that, she is very easy to target, in my opinion, to shift blame. And I think that it would be very easy to break down mentally from that kind of pressure. And people to this day still give her grief on a daily basis. So, so when you're listening, I want you to just keep that in mind. All right. So I have done some research and I hear that Brandy told Jennifer Hanna, the babysitter, who babysat for 3 months, right, before he went missing.
Brandy says 2, Hannah says 4.
Okay, so 2 to 4 months. Times are hard for some. So 2 to 4 months, this babysitter was watching him, but Jennifer Hanna has known Tyler for many years.
Yes.
Many, many years. But did not meet Michael until way later, from what I hear. So she knew Brandy and Tyler. Tyler the most, and then it was Brandy and then the kids. Correct, Crystal? Do you know?
Yeah, Tyler was best man in Hannah and her husband's wedding.
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean that would be tight to me. Like I would think so. Oh, Grammy says, did he call from Messenger? Is that a possibility? Did he ever say anything about that anyone knows about?
No, I didn't even know it was a possibility to call 911 from Messenger. It's a good question.
So yeah, that's a good question. That's something that I think I've asked in the Summer Wells case. Can you call 911 from a messenger service? I'm sure. So let's see what Google has to say. Just out of pure curiosity, because I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
Don't use Facebook Messenger to contact them in an emergency. Just a reminder, Facebook and Facebook Messenger are not monitored. If you have an emergency, please call 911. It says, please stop trying to use Facebook to call the police. So it seems like you can.
Well,
Looks like you could. I don't know if it connects straight to your phone, though. It says new ways to make a 911 call on your smartphone. Yeah, you sure can.
Dope. I'm not talking to.
Are you there?
I'm here.
Is Dope being dopey?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So getting back to Jennifer Hanna. Sorry, guys. I have ADHD, and I love you for sticking with me. What about Jennifer Hanna stating who called 911? Was there any conversation from Jennifer Hanna stating that someone told her who actually called?
Hannah actually, in one of the spaces, I believe, said that Tyler specifically told her that Brandy's boss, Ilda, called 911.
Have you ever heard from Ilda that she in fact did? Does anybody know?
I've never spoken to Ilda.
Okay. Yeah, she's kind of a hard one to get a hold of unless you want to be bashed. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yes.
If you are not completely 100% unwavering faith, then yeah. So maybe I can find and pull up that information. I had this all up, I swear, guys, but it was just too much for my computer. I was a few minutes late. So give me just a second. I'll find it.
Grandma,
I think that was. I'm sorry.
According to the babysitter, who I believe she either knows the pizza guy that delivered the pizza that night or knows the people that work at the pizza place. They did talk to him, and it scared him so much that he quit his job that night. And he, I guess, checked out and has nothing to do with Michael's disappearance.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Tyler is Michael's biological father.
Yeah, and Dope Soul, again, I wanted to reiterate that. We have call logs here. It only gives the time and address, but law enforcement won't release the reporting on it. So you can ask Piatt County for the logs, which they got. However, the recordings and the reports on it, denied. All of the ones that stood out specifically. So that sucks, but it's an investigation. And of course, we don't want to hinder it. So they're not going to release that information. I'm looking right now for Jennifer Hannah's recording. Dope. So if you could put in the chat if it's where the ones that we talked about yesterday, I will pull them up. All right. So going back to Tyler Vaughn again, do you know if he said anything specifically about seeing any neighbors before they came out when the search was active?
He did say that anybody he saw, he asked them if they seen Michael, and that's kind of how the search got underway.
Really?
Like, so before like 911 was called and he was out looking for Michael, he was asking people that he's seen, like, have you seen a little boy, and described Michael basically, and that later became the search that Brandy came home to, was those people, instead of, the horse and buggy and everything else.
Okay. And nobody has really come out, well, officially. None of the neighbors have come out and confirmed anything. Correct.
No, right.
Not that would, like, law enforcement would be like, yep, checks out. Okay. What about the 701 CCTV footage of seeing Tyler at the splash pad?
That was something that Brandy came home from the police station on January 20th and said that they seen him at 701 at the splash pad looking for Michael.
Okay. Got it.
But that originally changed too, because he was getting in the van when he called Brandy. But we know that that can't be true if he called her at 7:05.
Wow. Okay.
Shit that's going on.
Hold on, guys. I think I found it.
This is fucking horse shit. That's not the same vehicle. It's not even.
Okay. That was a December 31st space, is about the vehicles, which we can get into if we have time. That's crazy. Like, the first 3 to 5 seconds is just her, like, cursing. March 11th, I think, was the spaces that the 911 information was given by Brandy. Correct? Do you know?
Which time? Which 911 time are we talking about?
The last one before y'all were like done. Because I know that there was
it would have been before March 11th then, because I was already done talking to her by then.
Okay, got it. I'm pulling up this damn timeline. 22 time, guys. I have changed my own timeline theories, and these ladies have been working on it for so long. There's still blanks. There are still blanks. Last thing about Tyler. I think there was something that I wanted to ask you. Oh, I know what it was. It was about seeing Kira that day. So Kira is, I don't like to speak about the kiddos very often, but this is important in my opinion. Kira was seen on CCTV footage, allegedly. It has changed. The time has changed. So a very close friend of Brandy's, stated that she got the information from one of the detectives that Kira was seen walking home on the splash from the school to the splash pad to home around 3:45. But then Brandy states that it was 4:23, I believe.
34.
434, excuse me, thank you.
Yeah.
434. Of course, we can't confirm that, but it's very important because we don't know if Kira saw Monkey for sure. And we're not going to know that because, it's an investigation and she's a child. It's just very interesting to me that you would not know for a fact. Even if it was like a 5 to 10 minute window, I could understand that. So to me, it's like, well, which one is it? One's getting it from a detective and one is getting it from, what did we say? Tyler?
For what now?
The Kira walking home. So we know that Ashley, a friend.
Oh no, both came from a detective, just two different detectives.
Oh, two different detectives, two different
Yes.
times. That was right. Thank you. So the point of that is like, is this intentionally being mucked up so that somebody will finally spill? We don't know. It might be just a whoopsies. There was a whoopsies about the Honda Pilot being cleared. Somebody called up there and said, "Hey, has this been cleared?" And they told someone yes. And then was that Jen Jones?
Yes.
Yeah, Jen Jones, who's on Twitter. She has a law enforcement background, and she's retired. Anyway, they call her back and say, wait, there was a misunderstanding, and that it was not cleared. So it makes you wonder, what do we do at this point? And a lot of people outside of the quote unquote Twitter weasels are in the same boat.
Dope sent you something in your inbox, Eve.
I know. I'm trying to download it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is this the Wheel of Fortune that you sent me? Dope. Is that the one?
I seen a comment from, where'd it go? Sue.
Oh, never mind.
She said, but she got home at 7:30, 9 minutes to 911 call. Brandy actually said that she was home
Where she was.
originally at 7:15.
Say that again. I'm sorry. It cut out.
Sue said Brandy got home at 7:30, which was 9 minutes to the 911 call. And I said, but originally Brandy actually said she was home at 7:15, which was before the 911 call was even placed.
Right.
And Brandy was very adamant about the fact that she was at home when she called her oldest daughter to come home. And that call was placed at 7:21 p.m., the same time that 911 was called.
How can that be?
It can't be, because they are not time travelers.
So what I'm trying to get at, guys, is see how easy it is to not get that clear-cut timeline from the people, or excuse me, from the person who was not there, first of all, which was Brandy. She was at work. And secondly, the two adults that were there that day aren't really speaking much. It's through other people and opinions. So like Brandy or Jennifer Hannah or whatever the case may be.
SHCB in your chat made a good point and said, and as the pizza would be dropped off. Yeah, if she got home at 7:15, she would have seen the pizza person and who took it in too. You're right.
Right? There's so many things, guys. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And I wanted Crystal to come up here and at least say, yeah, I was talking to her. We questioned. And a lot of times it was backlash. A lot of times. So you had to kind of play this kind of role, right, Crystal? Would you say?
I mean, when I first went into this, I want to be very clear, because a lot of people think that I went into this just for information, and I did not. I truly believed that Brandy and Tyler needed support and help, and I offered that. And I for a while, I definitely believed everything that they said. I followed every lead that they they asked me to or talked about. But when everything started changing, when I started listening to everything and hearing the time differences and the fact that there was even times when she would say, right, Crystal, that's the right time. I mean, she even publicly says it in spaces. Well, Crystal has that time for you. That's when I was like, wait a second. I was nowhere in Idaho in July or ever in my life. And yes, I take notes and I write down all these things, but you're his mother. Why haven't you?
Exactly. Exactly. And y'all have to remember, guys, that this is coming from Brandy and or Tyler and or anyone around them that either states they've talked to them, etc. The only people that would really need to muck anything is the people that are either involved in some way or covering those who are. That's it. The truth does not need explanations. A lie does.
The truth
Period.
doesn't change.
The truth does not change. Lies
Which
do.
is why some things that she says, I do believe, because they haven't changed. Whether the time surrounding them have changed, the things that she says that happened did not. So those are the things that I'm like, I believe her. I believe those to be true, but she's manipulated the times to fit everything else.
Right. So before I play this clip, I'm sorry guys, I wanted you to see one of these timelines that were posted, I think, early in March. That was quote unquote accurately and confirmed by someone other than Brandy. Okay. Do you remember seeing this, Crystal? Have you seen this?
The one on the screen now?
Yeah.
No, because that one would be newer because that's after I left the group because it's got the big sister scene on CCTV footage.
Yeah. So, like we said, we have two people, Ashley and Brandy, stating two different times for seeing Kira, big sister, on CCTV footage. This one says 3:45. Walking home. When you walk into their house, you can see the couch. So if Michael was there, she would have seen him. I feel like if she really would have seen Michael, honestly, this would not be such a big deal. Because it wouldn't be this massive, like, did she see him? Did she not? If she did, you know what I mean? It shouldn't be a big secret. Just because she is, younger. I don't understand. What about Ben? Ben is the older brother. That's very important. This is a 5-year-old child who isn't there. So I don't really feel like I should be too candid about the siblings, simply just seeing Michael. Why is that such a big deal? That's always been a red alert flag to me. I know and I understand you have to protect your babies from any kind of, big backlash or speculation, but this is kind of basic. Like, did Ben and or Kira see Michael? And Brandy cannot answer that. She couldn't. I mean, she can and she has for Tyler, but she can't actually say for a fact she knows, right, Crystal?
Right. I mean, yeah, she can't say anything for a fact after 12/13 when she said she left for work.
Right. So the only person that could is Kira. About
Yes.
the 3:45 going on, walking in and seeing Michael. So I just want you guys to see that just because you see something that says confirmed does not necessarily mean that it is accurate unless law enforcement says it is. That was my point. So when you see these big, I'll pull it up right now. Not that I'm saying this person is necessarily wrong, but it's like misleading. It's been accurate and confirmed by someone other than Brandy. Well, first of all, who? And was it law enforcement? Right?
There is not one timeline that law enforcement has ever said was accurate publicly.
Yeah. So see, lovely dope soul was like, no, hang on now. 413 phone call was not confirmed by anyone but Brandy, which is true. So this is where people get thrown off, that just because somebody is devoutly close to Brandy doesn't mean that. And Crystal, I think you could even say this because you were just going on what you were told by the horse's mouth.
Yeah, oh yeah, because if you go way back, you'll see the handwritten timeline that I wrote out and that I sent to Brandy, and the map that I hand drew and sent to Brandy. And she said, yes, ma'am, those are correct. Just please mark out my addresses. And I'm like, oh yeah, good thinking. I'm an idiot. And I post them. And then as soon as people were like, wait. After a couple days, Brandy was like, just take them down. Excuse me, I just got my butt tore apart, and you want me to take them down now? I just went to bat for you, and now you're telling me to take them down because they have proven that it's not correct? Like, thank you for destroying my name.
Yeah, exactly. So that was another point too. Like, it kind of doesn't seem like there's not a lot of worry about other people being literally slandered and or shamed for just trying to help and really just trusting what was told.
And that should have been my first red flag, but apparently I have a ginormous heart and just kept on going.
Yeah. So I'm not going to keep you that much longer, except because, you know me, ADHD. And I'm going to just kind of, feel free to jump in the chat while I kind of go through some of the other things. Has Ilda ever said, confirmed again, that she was there during the search, by the way, when they showed up? Was she there at all?
No, well, I don't know if she was there. She just hasn't confirmed. Hey, Stacy, what's up?
Who's Stacy?
Stacy's from the group.
Oh. I didn't see Stacy's comment.
She said your name with a bunch of laughing faces.
Like Eve? Laugh, laugh, laugh?
I think it's to whatever I just said. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Anyway. Let's listen to this clip. This is Brandy. Call the police now because I couldn't find him out of the start of it. Is this Brandy's? Okay, yeah. We're just gonna go through it.
To North Island from Alberton, or for who to get from where they were to get to Ilda. It's approximately a 10-minute drive. So Ilda went to the hospital. Yes.
That's really muddled.
Ilda was one of the first ones on scene. I believe Ilda was also one of the first ones who was like, okay, no, we got to call the police now because they couldn't find him. Like,
okay, let me restart that.
Where she was to North Island from Alberton, or for who to get from where they were to get to Ilda. It's approximately a 10-minute drive. So Ilda went to the hospital.
This is Jennifer Hanna. Okay.
Ilda was one of the first ones on scene. I believe Ilda was also one of the first ones who was like, okay, no, we got to call the police now because they couldn't find him. Like,
wow. So again, I know that might be muddled. Crystal, can you get into this at all? Besides,
I'm trying to remember. I don't think that was a Spaces. I think that was one of the recorded phone calls that Hannah had with somebody. And that was before she got a new phone, and her phone was like super crazy and really hard to hear her. She was saying that the drive from Brandy's work to their house is 10 minutes. Is correct? Is that what I got out of that?
right.
Okay, so Brandy drove that. one day we timed it. We were actually in group chat with her. We timed it, me and one of the other girls. And she had talked about having to get stopped at one of the red lights, the longest light, right before her house. And we timed it, and I believe it took her from her leaving her work to get home. I'll have to look through my notes to find the exact time. But even being stuck at the light, I believe it was like 8 minutes. And that was being stopped at the light for, I think it was 2.5 minutes she was stopped at the light for.
Right, because the light was takes effing forever. If anybody knows that, driving in, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so that's what she said.
Yeah.
About driving home. So here's where I wanted to go with that before we get into Donna really quickly. And then I'm going to let you go, Crystal. And then I'm going to continue on with some of the things that I found specifically that you already know about. You don't have to explain it. But I just think it's insanity. So this is this your updated timeline? Do you know? It's on the screen.
Okay. Whoa, I can't see that. That's
My
not
bad.
that's not mine. All my timelines are handwritten, and I haven't posted them because the timelines are trash.
I'm just saying, I think that this was from March that I know of. I don't want to pull up Dope Souls unless she's cool with it, because I think there is some things like that probably don't need to be super reviewed or known about, or maybe just kept kind of.
I think Dope's timelines are like really specific.
Yeah.
Mine are just more not generic, but there's some things like I have on a different timeline as far as like other vehicles and stuff, just in case. I don't want that out in the public, so
Right.
But so I have like a separate timeline with that too.
Yeah, and I don't know if I want like some of the names of the neighbors out there. So just to protect, that they don't deserve to get any backlash, even though you could search and get it yourself. I just don't think I would feel good about that. All right, let me jump to Donna, everybody, because my channel's all about that. You were on the phone, or you were, excuse me, not on the phone, but you were listening along with Brandy regarding the Donna Serafina recording.
No, that happened before I started talking to Brandy.
Okay, so she played it.
I watched it before I started talking to Brandy. I watched that one on my own.
Okay. And then that's when you asked her about it.
Yes.
Okay. So was it Brandy's idea to reach out to Donna, or was it someone else's that kind of tried to push her? Or was it Donna?
That I'm still unsure of to this day. She never gave a specific answer as to who or why she originally got to talk to Donna.
Okay. So either way, they got in contact with each other. And as we all know, it starts out, speaking about who's there, which was Brandy and Bob, which is Tyler Vaughan's father. Is that right? From your understanding?
There isn't at the house, or
just on the call somehow.
It was just her and Brandy.
Oh, okay. But Donna had spoken, I believe, to Bob or something along those lines. I'll double check.
She was going to, like, she originally was wanting to reach out, but then she said that she didn't need to because her clarification was was Grandpa in the beginning when she was getting, the white truck and stuff.
Right. It would make sense. I think we could all deduce that it's about Bob, in my opinion. So, do you know what was her opinions about Donna's reading that you're aware of?
She respected Donna. She thinks Donna is very credible. But but I think that scared her, and
Mm.
she would, I don't want to say she wouldn't reach back out, because she did, after a lot of pressure from all of us asking every single day for her to talk to Donna. But
Mhm.
when she would finally text or email or however she did it back to Donna, Donna would
Mhm.
reply right away. And then it would take Brandy weeks and weeks before she would say something else to Donna.
Wow. So she really strung it out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that I'm impartial because, I'm a fan of Donna. And if she called me, oh God, I'd be like on it. That's just me. Especially if I had a missing child, though. Seriously. I would do anything. So that's very odd that she would wait so long. Maybe there was maybe she was scared to hear the details or to think that there might be something different than what she was assuming, which is an abduction. Um, and yes, law enforcement does say it's highly likely. Abductions come in many forms, though. Um, okay. I just really thought that was interesting that she waited so long to respond.
Well, even after, so I had emailed Donna, and I finally got a response back from her. And Donna told me that she had did a couple more readings on Michael. And I immediately told Brandy, because that's his mother.
Mhm.
And she reached out to her that night, but it wasn't to get the readings about Michael. It was to stop her, meaning stopping Donna, from doing a reading with her ex-husband's ex-fiance.
Right. Right.
So
Which
it wasn't
is
about, oh my God, you
her
did
name
more
is
readings on
Ashley,
my son.
correct?
Yeah. So it wasn't about, oh my God, you did more readings on my son. What did you find out? It was, no, don't talk to anybody about my son.
Oh my gosh. I get that side of like the horribleness. But there's other ways around that. Because
And I
Donna
will tell
specifically
you,
said they could do a reading where that information would be completely blocked, like she said, like Crystal said. So I don't get it.
and I will also tell you that quite a few of us in the group offered to listen to the readings and baby it to Brandy, so that she didn't have to hear things that, that could hurt her as his mother, and she still wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Stacy, you want me to bring it up? I'll bring it up. Apparently, Donna told Brandy that Michael was sexually assaulted, yet she said it was after they hung up. But if you go listen to the recording, Brandy hangs up before Donna stops the recording. So you tell me.
Yeah. I just found this out from Crystal today, asking her. Brandy hangs up before it's even said. And then
Yeah, because Brandy said once the recording stopped, Donna told me about the essay. But if you listen to the recording, Brandy hangs up before Donna stops the recording. So you tell me when she told her that, because that doesn't add up either.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't. If that were the case, I'd be like, we got to find this SOB.
It would, yeah, you would be like, okay,
where can I find him, Donna? Where can I find him? Yeah.
I'm not, oh, let me just keep letting it happen to my son.
Yeah. I mean, I get that it's hard. But that's something that you need to work out with Tyler. Because he was there. And Michael was unsupervised. No matter how you want to spin it, and I'm not trying to shame anybody. I'm just saying that's the truth. It is. And I do understand that he feels guilty and he feels awful and all of these things. We got to man up for Michael. Got to man up. And we're not seeing it. That's like the biggest red flag to me. It's really simple. Just come on up, buddy, and speak your truth and your piece so that everybody can feel better, knowing that you're not the one that had anything to do with this. that's your choice. You let a, in my opinion, very hardworking mom with a lot on her plate do your dirty work, but she can't keep up with it because she wasn't there. And you have hundreds, maybe even thousands of people reviewing this daily, wishing they could get some clarification so that they know that law enforcement can, or maybe is or will, find the bastard that did. Really, we don't need to muck it up any more than that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Jimmy, she never said who was doing it. When she started talking about, like, in her reading, she talks about seeing a pair of like men's boots, and then that's when everything stops, and then there's never another reading publicly put out by Donna, so we have no idea who was doing it.
Yeah. And that's alleged anyway. We don't know anything about that.
Exactly.
That could be a false information from a reading. That's why readings are, in my opinion, supposed to be private, unless, after the fact of a investigation is closed. And I think, truly down deep, I think Donna kind of knew that, but she was trying to help.
Well, because she even tells Brandy, I don't have to post this publicly.
Yeah. Do you know if she said or confirmed that she said, no, it's fine? Anything to help? Okay. I would assume, Brandy would be like, no, get it out there. Anything can help, except for if she knew that it was hinting towards someone specific. I don't know. That's kind of muddled to me. Either way, there's a 5-year-old missing.
Jimmy, I don't think Tyler is completely innocent. Michael was under his watch when he went missing, so he is in some way at fault for this.
He's complicit in at least being unaware of where Michael was at the time.
Exactly.
And the only explanation from the 413 call from Brandy that she stated to Tyler, checking up on everything because it was her break time. Again, Michael was on the couch. He was on the couch playing on his, what is that device called? It's a tablet. Playing his game. He was on the couch when she left. On the couch when Brandy called at 413 from Albertsons on her break. What else was he doing? He always on the couch. And then all of a sudden he's outside.
That's not what Brandy said to me, Stacy, because I didn't have Donna's reading. So how could I send anything to Ellie? She said Donna sent them to Ellie.
So, okay, so let me look at what call dime is. Is that Stacy call dime? Kelly dime?
Yeah.
Brandy told you, Crystal, to send all of the Donna stuff to law enforcement. She didn't want to hear what might be happening to her son after Michael was taken.
But that's not true because, again, I didn't even have Donna's readings to send to law enforcement. She said Donna sent them to law enforcement, and Brandy did reach out to Donna a couple different times after that. So that's not necessarily true either. She did want to hear, or she didn't want to hear, because when I talked to the other psychic, Brandy's first comment to me was, does it involve my family?
Right. Right. And it's not Crystal's job to send anything off. Honestly, that's even if that was the case, Donna does that anyway. And I would assume that Donna would have told Brandy that before anything happened, because she has before with other cases. So yeah, that doesn't make sense. Callie Dime, Brandy asked Donna to send them. Okay, well.
So why did you say that Brandy asked me to send them if I didn't even have them? You're making no sense, as usual. I have receipts to back everything I'm saying up.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, Crystal's going to get a lot of backlash because of the unfortunate circumstances with having to record things because she did not feel things were adding up. It wasn't. But because she has the proof of that in some things and not all things, people want to discredit her immediately. Well, look, there should not be things to discredit, and there should not be things that can't be explained very quickly, effortlessly, and that's the point. And I don't feel like you should be coming at people who's trying to clear that up.
No, because
I-
if we're gonna get real honest right now, if we're so sure that this was an abduction, if we're so sure, how are we so sure as well that a complete stranger did not take him to the Snake River or did not take him down those farm roads? How are we so sure of those things if we are so sure that a complete stranger who you've never talked to in your life took your son? Let's explain that one. Somebody explain that one to me, because you are so guarded on those farm roads and that Snake River that you know it's not possible, but you're so sure that a stranger picked your son up off the side of the road and took him where? Do you know where? Because if you don't, then everything and anything is a possibility at this point.
And why wouldn't you want to go wherever it needs to go to find him?
Exactly. Everything
mean-
should be a possibility. Not, oh, no, that can't be. No, that can't be. No, that can't be. Because that's exactly what she said every time you brought anything up. So how is that not a possibility if you're so sure a friggin' stranger took your son? Explain that one.
And not only that, let's talk about the study. I know everyone's like, Eve, you and your stupid ass studies. But there was a 2011 case study that came out that went over 61 cases with 66 victims of false reported abductions. All right. And there's some more details, but basically what we know is that 2 miles from the home is usually where these children are that have been murdered. All right. So let's just say something happened. And typically it's a DV, domestic violence cover-up in most of these cases. Or in a majority, besides straight just murder. So 2 miles. Crystal and Dope and everybody, all the Twitter Weasels here, can you tell me, is there a specific area that you can think of that is very triggering to anyone immediately around that house in that Michael lived in? The adults.
The Snake River is super triggering for Brandy.
Well, the Snake River is very that's vague, right? Of course, because it goes all the way from it's a long ass river.
And the farm roads. That she's also very triggered by those farm roads.
Okay, so let's just put it out there. Why do you think she's triggered about the farm roads?
Because I think there's more to this than what's being said.
Okay, so that's just a theory that everyone's like, okay, well, why not? Why not search this, and why are you being so kind of off about it, right?
And not to stop you from what you just said, but Dope just said river for Tyler too. Yeah, if you watch the only press conference Tyler was at, you watch his facial expressions for that river, it's triggering for him too.
Yeah, you know what? I actually noticed that about a week ago and recorded it. But
I
it's
did too.
I'm going to show y'all this before we get into this map time. Seriously, it's insane. He shivers, and Brandy, I think, almost consoles him. What do you think? Is that what you think?
Oh yeah.
Like she
Well,
almost consoles?
I didn't watch Brandy too much as I watched Tyler's expression, because I watched him just kind of look almost like, how do I word it? It was almost like he was like anxious, to be in front of cameras and stuff, which is completely understandable. But the way he acts when JD says something about the Snake River, that stood out.
I think it's at the kind of the end.
I don't understand your question. So any other equipment? So we
No,
do
it's
have
before this.
drones that have been brought in.
I thought it was
Mass area
around that. Oh,
search
okay. I think we're
that are
here.
trained and certified. Thing we need to their residences and their homes. You never know. We got a 5-year-old kid out there. You know, he can wander in and out of places super easy, into people's backyards. Any place that he could be on a larger piece of property, that's what we're asking the public to do. We have trained professional search teams with
Before
search
this.
canines that
Is
are
it?
certified.
Yep.
I swear I thought it was later.
It's when he first starts talking about what they've done so far.
Are they native? Just curious. What is that? What do you mean? What does that mean? Jimmy Hoffa. What's going on?
Ears. The community knows because they see us out here.
Let me look at the
every single day,
transcript.
pounding the pavement, pounding these rural areas. We are working. We're committed to finding Michael, and we're not going to leave any stones unturned. So you need to understand that the investigation of this child we're using every resource, and it's very intense. We ask that the community only report information from credible sources to law enforcement. And as we know, that as we're just
326.
we know that if we're Idaho State Police,
Sorry, guys.
included aerial and marine and land support. Idaho
Here we
Fish and
go.
Game officers are continuing to search the river by boat for 4 to 5 miles downriver and back up, and in the sloughs of the Snake River, search the river by
Let's
boat
replay that real
for
quick.
search and rescue effort, including the use of canines, aerial and marine and land support. Idaho Fish and Game officers are continuing to search the river by boat for 4 to 5 miles downriver and back up, and in the sloughs of the Snake River as well.
One more time, people.
Officers are continuing to search the river by boat for 4 to 5 miles downriver and back up, and in the sloughs of the Snake River as well.
Yeah, I noticed that. There's another, I think at the end that I noticed too, where he's literally shaking. But that was weird, right?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
that never caught my attention until recently.
Me too. Literally, maybe a week ago. And I think it's important.
On those devices, and so we're continuing to do that. It's a great resource.
And it's like they were holding hands, kind of, but it was right whenever they.
Drone, as well as a pair of officers out here.
Sorry.
From coast to coast.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, you're welcome. Can you touch on more about what these outside agencies are able to bring to the case?
It's hard to hear.
Thank you for the question. These outside agencies bring everything to the case that I can't.
There.
Manpower, resources, equipment. I mean, everything. I mean, the city of Fruitland, we're a small city. We've got 12 officers out here beating the street every day. So bringing these experienced, qualified people into these investigations for us it's just completely incredible, and it's huge for us. The City of Fruitland Police Department we can continue to support our community and handle those calls for service that we need to, while adding support to this team here as we continue this investigation. It's incredible.
He's very well spoken.
JD, yeah.
I don't understand your question. So any other equipment? So we do have
right there
drones that have been brought in from the Meridian Police Department. We have an Idaho State Police drone, as well as a Payette County drone and a Sand Hollow fire drone, all of which
Sand Hollow's triggering, I think,
and
too.
They have FLIR capabilities, and we are continuing to use those as we search.
And just for the people that aren't familiar, could you
Yeah, the shirt.
FLIR is a forward-looking infrared thermal imaging device, and so we put that up there. We like to primarily do that in areas where it's a little bit cooler, so maybe in the morning or late at night, where we can get a little better signature or heat signature on those devices. And so we're continuing to do that. It's a great resource. So.
Is there
I think it's coming up. Sorry.
Was there any indication of a direction of travel or a direction that Michael might have gone or anything of that nature that you can really?
You know, I will tell you that he was last seen there on Southwest 9th. We're still trying to pin down some directions of travel, but I don't have that. You know, our goal is to find him, and we're going to continue hunting. And I will tell you that everything is on the table on this. Okay, so we're going to continue our search and rescue efforts. And I appreciate you guys. I thank you for being out here today. And
Okay.
having said that, would the family like to speak to this at all?
I just want to thank the community and all the enforcement agencies that have been continuously, tirelessly looking for him. And anybody that has any information, please contact the Fruitland PD. We just want our monkey home. We just miss our baby and we want him home.
Anything helps. Anything.
That's it. That's all Michael says. All right. All right. What do you guys think in the chat?
I'm trying to keep up with all the comments so I can answer them.
Yeah.
There was
You
one.
don't really look at it differently until that one thing that doesn't make sense in the case brings you in. I did not see that the same way back then as I do now. And back then meaning when that came out. What, August? So
The sideshow shirt thing. So I will say Tyler is, for lack of a better word, a nerd when it comes to like comic books and stuff. And all of his clothes are basically like Marvel, and Sideshow is a big company for Marvel and stuff. So he had finally, according to Brandy, he had finally taken a shower that day, and she threw out clothes for him to wear, and that was what she had picked out for him to wear. But I do know that the whole Sideshow thing, he is a big Marvel fanatic, basically.
yeah. Yeah, I saw it on his Pinterest that I looked up once. I mean, it's like seriously comic books and action figures. Like complete nerd on that level. Which is fine. My
Right, and
husband's the same
he'll
way.
admit it. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. So having said that, I really want to get you guys, off of here so that you can go live your life. But I wanted to talk about the areas that I think let's just cut to the chase of the bullshit and the details and the this and the that. Let's go to Final Jeopardy here and talk about the areas that you notice and everyone else on the Twitter Weasels know is triggering. It's Snake River, right?
Yeah.
And what made you think that? Do you know of any specific situations that you can recall that is acceptable to put on here to where you think that would be a triggering area around Snake River?
I mean, I go back and forth with it because a lot of times I'm like, they are the parents of a missing child. A fast flowing river would freaking terrify me as a mother myself to think about. But if I truly thought my child was abducted by a stranger, I would know that it would be a possibility. So the defensiveness is what she's not saying, I know it's a possibility, but I don't want to think about that. Then I would be like, I get it. I completely get it. But it's there's no freaking way he made it to the Snake River. We're not saying that he walked to the Snake River. You're right. He couldn't have made it to the Snake River. That's a long hike for a little baby in flip-flops. Like, you're right. He didn't make it there. But he could have been taken there. And that's what we were trying to, tiptoe around and baby talk it to her. And she
was always super defensive. And the same thing with the farm roads. Anytime oh, I can't talk now. Anytime anybody would bring up the farm roads, it was like, there's no way, it's private property.
Right.
So is Michael, but somebody took him apparently. So do you think they care about driving on the farm roads? Because they don't.
No. And guys, I've done map time. If you don't know about it, go watch it. There are private roads that you would be trespassing at that point if you drove down them. Would you think that maybe this area, could you have you ever thought about, maybe is this an area that do you have questioned before? Right here.
Where are we? I have questioned. Is that the farm roads down by the underpass?
This is off of Nevada Avenue, where what is it? First Street. Yeah. So let me start fresh here.
Okay.
We're gonna go to the neighborhood. Okay. And
That's about the only way I can find anything is going to the neighborhood now.
I know. I do the same thing. And my freaking, sorry, my mouse will not work. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna go to the address. This is what I do every time. Thank you. So here is the house, right here. We're going down to the left and to the right of Arizona, left to 8th Street. And then we can't go there because it's private property. Okay, I want you to see these private this is the farm road you're talking about, right? Where it comes off of Southwest?
You can most definitely drive.
Oh, you can drive it without trespassing now? Like right
Well,
here?
I mean, I wouldn't say without trespassing, but you can drive it. I've ridden with Brandy while she drove them.
Oh, okay. Do you think that's just because it's Brandy and she has and Michael's missing and that's why?
I mean, it could be. It most definitely could be.
All right. So when you're coming down here, I want everybody to know during my map time, there was some options. All right. Where you go down here, and let me go back to the aerial view. That's where we just came from. All right. This is where me and my mods were very honed in on. And we were also very honed in on this area back here. Right back here. At the time. But right now, what we're talking about is this road that goes down. And I'm sure that has been searched, correct?
The pond, according to Brandy, has been searched with divers. The river was boated 4 to 5 miles up and down river from where I don't know. And then there was 29 miles of riverbank searched, but I don't know where they started and or stopped.
Yeah, because we just don't know the specifics. We just know that they have done extensive searches up and down the river, thousands of acreage or something like that, to make it seem like, or to explain that a lot's been done here.
But that river is so fast moving that if they waited until the next day to start searching that river, if he was in that river, he would be so far down that river by then, it wouldn't even be funny.
Right. So, getting back,
if he was put in that area is
right. Or if he wandered or got taken there. I wanted everybody to know that. Excuse me. I always cough when things don't want me to say things, or whatever you want to call it, spirit. Excuse me. There's a road right here, is there not? Have you ever been down this dirt road? Have we ever talked about it?
To the one to the left or the one straight ahead?
The one straight ahead.
The one straight
Right
ahead
here.
is the one that she actually drove down.
Oh, okay.
That's the road that goes down into the farm land.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me about that, drive? That
Well,
experience?
I can tell you that for a very long time, Brandy said that you could not get to the Snake River from those farm roads. You had to cross a highway. And on the drive we did, under that overpass, there's definitely access to the Snake River. It's literally damn near right next to it.
Right here. Is that what you're saying?
Under the overpass. Yeah, the Snake River's right there. Yeah.
Okay. So it's basically like kind of a side road.
Right.
Yeah. Could you potentially not care at all and just go over all of this terrain?
Well, I mean, let's say,
Or go here?
Let's say for a second this is a stranger abduction. They didn't care to take somebody else's child, so they're not going to care how they get out of there as long as they get out of there as fast as they can.
Right. So you're saying that they would not give a shit about...
Absolutely not. I mean, if I put myself in a criminal's mind for a second and I just stole somebody else's child, I'm going the fastest way I can to get out of there. And if I see a farm road that takes me down, I'm going to take it because I'm trying to get away. I already took a child. If I get caught, I'm already screwed.
Well, I didn't have to go near an underpass to get there. I just did it right here. Okay, go down, go around.
I was on video chat with her, Stacy. I have the videos. They already know that.
I mean, look, I just made it to the river without having to go near that. If I was crazy and willy-nilly and not a sissy la and was trying to take a innocent child away, I didn't have to go. I didn't have to go near that right here. I went the back way.
Jamie was with Brandy for some of the drives. Some of the drives, Brandy was by herself. Either way, Brandy recorded them and or we were on FaceTime, and I have all of those videos.
I mean, this area has always been on my mind.
Ray, no, she was not on the video chat. It was Jamie and Brandy in the car and then me on the video chat with them. They called me personally and I recorded it, and they knew I was recording it when they drove them.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was a surprise.
Yeah, Stacy didn't see it until after it was already done and over with. Then it was posted into the group for everybody to see.
Did y'all ever drive over to this way where it spits out into all of this craziness? It's on the end of West First Street. And let me pull up the map. I just didn't know if you ever went like around this area. Hold on. Where it spits out into this big open area. Do you know if they've searched them?
I do not know. I know that according to Fruitland PD, they searched, I believe it was a 3-mile radius all around their home.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I mean, that would be, I think, 3 miles. Yeah. Maybe right on there. Yeah. But there's also, other areas. There's 3 miles this way, down, 3 miles to the left, to
And
the
then
right.
there's the farm road that goes down Arizona that Grandpa drove the night Michael went missing in his truck. And if you follow that road,
Which
okay,
one?
how do I explain that? Okay, if you go back to Brandy's home,
Mhm.
that you take, if you go down here, right where your arrow is at, keep going backward, down, whatever.
This way.
Up.
Is that what
Yep.
you're telling me?
Uh-huh.
So when there is another option to get out.
Yeah, watch. Keep going, following that down. This is right by the canal, one of the canals that was drained.
Oh, okay.
So if you keep going,
Mm-hmm.
keep going. Now go to the right. I believe this is the one. Go to the right all the way. And this may not be the one. Can you zoom out a little bit further?
Do you mean this way?
If you go, nope, I mean, you're going to go to the right. Go down just a little bit more.
right there where that little tractor is right there.
Right here.
If you take that, if you turn, yep, right there. If you go all the way down that to the right, there is a clear path and opening that takes you to Old Whitley. Brandy drove right past that and refused to turn left when I asked her to show
here.
that there is a way to get in there. Yeah. So if you take Arizona down to right there, you can get out on Old Whitley and bypass the camera in town.
Oh, got it. I mean, guys, I've already known this. I'm just trying to be a smart ass, and I'm sorry for that. This is what she's talking about. So
Yep.
basically what we're trying to say is that there was this belief that there is no way you could bypass cameras by going any other way out of their neighborhood. Okay, and so we disproved that. Well, the Twitter Weasels did, by showing her or asking her to do these things and record it. Now, I remember seeing a recording where she was super pissed.
That's the
Is that the
recording.
one?
Yep,
Okay.
that's where she drives right past it.
I mean, she was super pissed. And I remember her slowing down,
Uh-huh.
but not explaining the reasoning for why it wouldn't be a possibility. I really don't understand that.
Yeah, because clearly, look, I mean, you can.
I
get
mean,
out right
look.
there. It's wide open. it's a road.
So in that case, though, you have to admit that it would take someone that would kind of know that and plot that out, right?
Right.
Yeah. Or maybe be comfortable doing that and not being seen as weird or whatever. So
Well, you got to
that's a
think
very good
too,
point.
this was July, so cornfields were obviously higher, so it would be a lot less unnoticeable if they did take that way too.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been very eye-opening. And I hope for everyone in the chat, this is not to start drama at all. Even if it does, I do not give a shit. What I'm here for is Michael, and so are these ladies, and I don't really care what anyone has to say about it, because it's very obvious if you do your research and or trust the people that are actually looking into their work. Because to be honest with you, when I came into this, I was like, you bitches. I'm sorry, excuse my language, but I was like, how could you? But then I understand why. You get very frustrated when there's just not consistency. This should not be this difficult. It's not. And Brandy said she wanted help. Tyler said anything helps, correct? So this is what it sometimes takes. That's why you have the Summerwells case too. These are children.
And
This is not a sideshow, and it shouldn't be one, but it is because of the source, not because of Twitter, because of the source who was closest to Michael. Maybe that T-shirt was the silver lining.
I said that in the very beginning. If you would have just looked at your call logs and found the right times, there would be no discrepancies in the timeline. There wouldn't be 15 timelines. There would only be one, because before you let me post the first timeline, you should have looked at your call logs and knew exactly what time everything was taking place. Because I understand that at the time, during that day, absolutely not. I would not have known what the heck time anything happened. But what was it, 4 months later, I would have looked at my call logs by then, especially when people were asking me questions when I was actually asking for help. I would have looked at my call logs and been like, look, I made this phone call at this time. This call was placed at this time. This is how it is. Like, you can't, here's my call log. This is what it is, black out everybody's calls except for the ones you're continuously talking about, and show people that, this is what it is. You can't discredit this because this is exactly what it is. But that never happened.
Right. Yeah. All right, guys. It's been almost 2 hours. Crystal, thank you so much for coming on here and explaining some things. I'm sorry it was so disorganized. There was a lot of things even up to right before we went live that we were discussing that triggered a lot of like research too. It's just constantly that way because we're just not getting the facts that everyone needs to feel safe that Michael has a chance coming home one way or another. We don't feel confident in that. Period. So, again, having said that, thank you so much, Crystal. If anybody has any questions, feel free to email me or comment on the video below, or the comment section below, excuse me. And as I always say, drink your water, hug yourself, hug your babies so damn hard, and then hug your grandbabies, fur babies, feather babies, whatever babies. And I will see you guys on the next live. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, sweetheart. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.